doing tonight? We are going live, Facebook Live. Our topic tonight is unpacking miscommunication. Now, for those of you that are just joining us, we're typically go on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we shift it sometimes with the holidays, and because of Memorial Day here in the U.S., we're doing it tonight. And the conversation is on unpacking miscommunication. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm the founder of Project Forgive. I'm a communication speaker and consultant. I do a lot of training around speaking and around communicating in the workplace, and I happen to love the conversation of forgiveness because I do think it is the conversation in thought leadership, and can actually heal and transform families. I really believe that. I know you do too. If you're hanging out here, you know that that's the case. I can see you're starting to show up. We're going to unpack miscommunication. Hey, Joe, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Maria, you guys are showing up. We're going to unpack some frickin' miscommunication. Holly, Angel Face. Hey, Patsy, I'm so glad you guys are here. I thought I would match tonight with my glasses with my dress. I'm calling in and from the Facebook Live in the Moda City in Detroit. I'm actually feeling a little feisty tonight. And here's something, how I normally train, because I work with a lot of companies, I work with a lot of universities and government agencies, and usually when I train, someone in the audience will give me a case scenario, like what they're dealing with, and I won't give them advice. What I'll do is I'll actually role play with them right then and there and show different options or different ways to communicate it. And it's very transformational. It's phenomenal how it works. I got my dog barking. I hope it's not the UPS guy. All right, guys, come on with me. Let's see if it's the UPS guy. Let's see what's going on. Hang on. Might be my husband. I thought he had yoga. Oh, let's just have a commercial break really quick. When my dog's barking like this, I get concerned. It's not solicitors. I've done the conversation on soliciting, and how I learned how to put a no soliciting boundary in my door, because I would have, I work at home, I probably have hundreds of people come to my door. Okay, look who it is. It's my honey.
Hello.
I'm on Facebook Live. The dog was just barking so much, I just had to double check to make sure it wasn't the UPS guy. Say see ya.
Okay, see you later. Take care.
That's my hubby. You hear me talk about him. All right, so we're good to go. Let me go back up. It doesn't have to be perfect. Who gives a flying leap how this looks? It just is what it is. We're going to unpack miscommunication, and that's our topic tonight. Let me get to my desk here. So what I'm going to do is, typically, like I said, when I train, here I am. Okay. When I train, I get these case scenarios, and then I work with people in the audience, and I just made up some problems, okay? The ones that I typically see a lot. Hey, Terry, hey. Oh, that's so funny. Holly saying hey to Terry. Okay, let me take a breath. All right, here's the deal. Always mention who our sponsor is, because how we're supported at Project Forgive. We are a nonprofit. We are non-religious. We are nonpartisan. And we are funded by progressive companies, progressive philanthropists, and grant funding machines. And tonight's sponsor is the Pittsburgh Foundation. They actually just gave us all the seed money to start a program in Pittsburgh with our Kids at Risk program, and we're actually developing the curriculum right now. It's very exciting indeed. So, Pittsburgh Foundation. Okay. Excuse me. Perfect. I see you guys showing up. Phyllis, Charlie. I'm so glad you're here. Marilyn, you guys rock and roll. I'll come back to you. Let me give you a little bit of content. All right, here's the problem. Okay, so let's say it's a father-son, mother-daughter, and maybe you say to your kid, if you have time, will you try to mow the lawn this afternoon? Maybe the dad says as he's walking out the door, and the teenage son might say with his head down, yeah, no problem. Okay, and then the dad comes home, and the lawn isn't mowed. Okay, and what happens is, in the miscommunication, both sides feel slighted, because first, the dad's angry, the lawn didn't get mowed. The kid's angry is like, well, wait a minute. You said, if I have time, do the frickin' laundry. Mow the frickin' lawn. It's not that deep. But what the problem was, in that miscommunication, it was too ambiguous. So let me give you a solution or an option. And remember, when I give you solutions in miscommunication, there are tons and tons and tons and tons of options. I just happen to be giving you one right now, just pulling this out of my head and picking out some ideas. Sound good? Okay? Another way to say it, instead of, if you have time, try to mow the lawn this afternoon. Another way to say it is, hey, Jamie, we're going out of town this weekend, so you need to mow the lawn, and I need it done today. Do you have any problem with that? Very clean, very clear. And then the kid can say, oh, no, I can do it today. Actually, I was going to the library, but you know what? I'll do it before I go to the library, and I'll get it done by 3 o'clock today. And the dad's like, cool. So that actually alleviated the problem of having to forgive. Most of the situations that we deal with are dependent upon miscommunication, and actually, if we really were talking vulnerably, straight, with clarification, we'd alleviate a lot of that forgiveness stuff. And at the same time, this forgiveness stuff is really pretty darn cool because it gives you an opportunity to get closer. So let's say the dad did it the first way. If you have time, try to mow the lawn this afternoon. He gets home, the kid doesn't do it. And another conversation that he could have with his son after he communicated that way, he could say, you know what, Jamie, I'm noticing I'm feeling really angry that the lawn get done, and I have to be accountable for my part here because I wasn't specific. I didn't say get it done today. I just assumed you'd fill in the blanks and get it done. And that's not how I want to be in relationship with you, my son. And I would like you to do it tomorrow. Can you do it tomorrow before we go away for the weekend? And the son says, oh, sure, Dad, I can do that. I appreciate you telling me that. And I'm sorry I didn't pay as much attention because, I was kind of doing my video games and I wasn't that clear on what you're wanting or needing. And I was kind of distracted, and I hear it's really important. I'll get it done tomorrow before we head out for the weekend. And that just brings them closer together, right? That just brings them closer together. That's a powerful example. It's easy peasy stuff. In the heat of the moment, though, when you're upset, it's not so easy because you're so hooked in your crap, right? You get really, really, really get hooked. I'm seeing folks saying they're outside of Philadelphia. Yep, I'll be in Pittsburgh a lot. Hey, Gary from London, Ontario. I love Canada. London, Ontario is a beautiful place. I go through there a lot when I'm heading off to like Barrie or Toronto, of course. And I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, keep going. Connecticut's here too. Marlene, I'm so glad you're here. Another example. Friend missed your birthday luncheon. And they missed it, and you feel so hurt that they didn't show up. And so when you see her, you want to read her the riot, like, I can't believe you didn't come to my party. You knew how important this was to me. So let's go over to the other friend. This other friend, let's say she's in the scenario of she is just got a promotion. She's so overwhelmed. She's scared in her new job. She can barely breathe. She's working so many hours. And in her world, she feels slighted that, she saw the invitation. It was ambiguous. Didn't say if you had to RSVP or not. You could show up. Her understanding is you could just show up if you could. And so all kinds of stuff happens there. And again, that creates that context to say, hey, I'm noticing how angry I was that you weren't at my birthday party. And you know what the bottom line is, Sheila? I love you. And I missed you. I missed you at my birthday party, and I really wished you could have been there. And she's going to say, I miss you too. I'm so strapped and so overwhelmed, and boy, I'm having such a hard time. And she might even cry. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense. I wish I would have been more clear with you that I really wanted you to be there, and if you could move mountains to be there for me, I would have loved it. And if you can't, I understand, and please give me an RSVP. In the communication, the vulnerability starts to show up, and you get to say, I really love you, and I care about you, and I missed you. And when we're in that hook, we don't remember to say those things, right? It's all about making the unconscious conscious, the unconscious conscious. You guys don't get, I am not a pro at this. I'm really good at it in work. In work, with my teams, I'm stellar at it. I still struggle with my personal relationships. I'm practicing this stuff. Actually, a lot of these examples are for me, and I don't even tell you, with the kinds of stuff that I'm working on to get more intimate and to get closer to my husband, to my children, to my grandchildren, to my mother. I'm doing a lot of boundary work, a lot of really cool things. So this is stuff we all freaking deal with, What if you're not invited over to your sister's? Maybe your sister says she's getting together, she's bringing her kids over, and they're going to just have a get together, and she doesn't invite you. And you are so slighted that she didn't invite you. And your feelings are really, really hurt. What if, on the flip side, and this is what I love, having the conversation with myself to raise the unconscious to the conscious. What else could be going on? That's a question I ask myself a lot. what else could be going on? What else could be the scenario? You can do some really silly ones like, oh, she was in an earthquake and her car went down a ravine. That could have happened. Or what if, for instance, and I know this to be the case, she didn't ask you because she didn't want to bother you in her own codependent behavior, and that if you wanted to come, you would just say so, and because she just didn't want to risk rejection in the family system, because the family system is all about not asking for what you want because you're risking rejection. So she didn't ask you to come to the get-together because she didn't want to risk that rejection. Isn't it funny how things come together or how they evolve? And you can get to the heart of that when you stay really calm in that communication and saying, you know, I was feeling really slighted. You know, hey, sis, can I have a really honest conversation with you? It's kind of vulnerable for me to share this with you. Can I share it? She's going to say, sure. I says, it's a little tender for me to talk about, and this is how I talk, you guys. I really wanted to come to your house, and when you didn't invite me, I thought you just didn't want me there. She's going to say, oh, Shawnee, not at all. I know how busy you are. I didn't want to give you one more invitation. I didn't want to, you know, make you feel bad for having to say no. I just didn't want to go through all that. You are welcome anytime. It's an open door. Very, very different conversation comes out when you start being vulnerable in those miscommunications, yeah? What about at work when you've got a group task? And, okay, let's say you got 5 people in a group, you're at work, and you're given a task, and it's going to depend on your hardwiring, because we're all wired very differently, how we perform and how we produce at work. And honoring and valuing those differences is really cool. You don't necessarily have to know what everyone else's is or what their hardwiring is. It's more about being conscious of the unconscious, that people operate differently. And so some people are just go-getters, and they're just going to go start doing stuff. And you're like, stop it. And someone else will wait for someone to tell them what to do. And you ever heard, like, I always remember from high school or even university, when I'd always be in a group and I'd be like, gosh, I do all the work. And it seemed like every time I got in a group project, I would do all the work. That's because there was so much miscommunication. And a way to clarify that right out of the gate is right when the task is assigned, as a team, you just open your mouth and say, hey, let's spend 10 minutes and clarify who's doing what for most efficiency so no one's doubling up. Are you guys game for that? And people are going to love that because it's going to actually smooth the process out much, much sooner. And you can even frame it in that 10 minutes, and it works. When I was doing a little bit of research on, okay, what topics do I want to talk about tonight? I saw one that I thought was really profound. All right, before I go there, let me just see what you guys are saying. How are you doing out there? I'm glad you like the ideas, Lanai. Beautiful. Yep. So know that. I got that you're 62 and don't know how to ask for help without making family members feel bad. And you know what the game is there? It's simply taking that risk. And I'm so sorry. I want to be able to grab your name because it's such a beautiful question. Sometimes when I'm on this live shot, I can't see people's names, and I only get 2 things at once. So I'm going to look here on my computer and see if I can get your name, because I think that's so sweet what you said. Here we go. Let me look at see all. Hang on, let me pull it up. It's that conversation of being a bother to someone. And you're right, Maria, it's hard to get people to communicate clear at times. And when you're focused on clarity and you're asking lots of questions, it starts working really, really well. Well, it's not letting me see all the comments. Yeah, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Facebook's funky like that. Oh, here we go, it's Donna. And this is true for older generations, and I'm in that generation. I'm 53. Children were taught to be seen and not heard. The validation of our feelings, it was very different for our generation than it is now. Very, very different. And we learned to be self-sufficient and just get it done under the radar. So to ask for help can be really, really hard. And then the balance, though, is figuring out for yourself what is overhelping, what is codependent, what is doing too much, what is just basic compassion and kindness. And the thing is, only you can figure that out for you, because it's different for all of us. We have different thresholds. And what's really beautiful and precious is when you allow yourself to explore what feels good, and when you start getting on that edge where you can feel anger or resentment building, like, because we don't want to go there. And then once we start learning where those edges are for us, it starts to feel really, really good, and we're in more joy. It's very, very powerful. Let's see. I'm hearing what you're saying, Maria and Leanne. Great. I'm so glad. A lot of folks are joining us. We're doing miscommunication, unpacking miscommunication. Unpacking miscommunication. Okay, so one of the things that I saw was this conversation of I'm sorry. Unpacking I'm sorry. I'm like, isn't that interesting? Just so you know too, Joanne, I just saw you, codependency is not just about alcoholism. It can be any time a person, I do lots of talks on codependency. It can be any time that some kind of family system has, usually the children take care of the parents in some way. There doesn't have to be alcoholism in the family. There can be extreme anger in the family and rage. There can be mental illness in the family. There can be chronic illness, physical illness. There's lots of things that have a family shift and have folks take care of more of their share. And over-responsible, it's a martyrdom that happens, and it isn't just for alcoholic families. And there's tendencies in our cultural and collective conversations and communication where we just simply want to help people, and sometimes we go overboard in trying to figure out where do we start and someone else begins. And that's part of our journey as humans, isn't it? At least I think so. Okay, so I saw this example on the internet about I'm sorry could mean you're wrong. And I just thought, this is such an interesting example, and I have another take on it besides what the article said. Here it says, Sue, she's a manager and she says to Michael, her subordinate, and this is at work, she says, I'm sorry I forgot to tell you about that meeting. And what she's really meaning, though, is, I told you about that meeting, and you owe me an apology. Well, that is convoluted communication, okay? So what she's doing, and this is common, she's making the first move in it like a two-part dance or a two-part ritual, saying, I just apologized for X, now you apologize for Y. So she expects him to say something like, you did tell me, and I'm so sorry, it won't happen again. That's what she's expecting. That is not going to work. Had she actually forgotten to tell him, she'd be more contrite when she says, oh my gosh, when I didn't see you at the meeting, I thought, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. Would you forgive me? The person says, yeah, no problem. You're spot on most of the time, and sometimes we forget things. It's not that deep. Now, let's go back to the first one. Instead of trying to get that dance of an apology, I'm so sorry I forgot to tell you about that meeting, when she's really meaning, you know what, I told you about that meeting and you owe me an apology. And what about some other choices? You know, what are some other choices to be more straight? It could be, hey, Michael, what's going on? Can we talk real quick? I'm not just sitting here trying to blame you or make you feel bad. But the truth is, I told you about the meeting and you didn't show up. What's going on with that? And he's like, oh, I forgot. I am so sorry. Great. What can you do in the future to make sure you don't miss it? Anyway, so I'll put some alarms on my computer, blah, blah, blah. That's much more straight than waiting for a ritual dance of an apology. That's actually kind of weird. I didn't care for that, and I just thought, isn't that interesting that someone is giving that type of advice in the realm of communication. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there. What are you guys thinking? What if an offender never apologizes? Mona, that's perfect, because by the time I end today, I'm going to let you know I'm going live tomorrow afternoon. I'll be at Bosch. I'm doing a keynote, and I'll be doing our activity, accepting the apology you'll never receive, which is the highest level of wisdom in thought leadership and business, as well as an ability to communicate so powerfully and shift your own level of being. I know I'm kind of saying it kind of weird, but I know you get the gist of it, you guys. So I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I'll give you a little bit more details about that. All right, so what I thought I'd do is I'd talk about communicating during conflict, because that's when the most miscommunication happens, is when you're in conflict. Everybody's hooked, everybody's upset, blah, 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 blah. Couple of pieces of advice. I have like 4 or 5. One is, this is crucial, sometimes we're upset and we just want to puke it out. We just got to get it out. And we don't care if it's not a good time. So the key here is to think about whether this needs to be said right now in this moment, or can it wait? Right now in this moment, or can it wait? Because how it might look with me and my husband, I might say, I'm really upset about blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering when would be a good time for us to talk about this. And he might say, you know what, I'm doing this, I'm going to yoga, I probably won't get to it. Can you wait till tomorrow? And I can. Do I want to? Not even close. No. The one good thing, though, about waiting till tomorrow is it gives me more time to think about it, gives me time to calm my own emotions down, which is number 2, consider if you have a good handle on your emotions. You really want to have a good handle on your emotions. Focusing on your breathing. Let it be incrementally better each time you do it. Third thing, when you're in conflict, is acknowledge the feelings. We are an acknowledge deprived society, deeply acknowledge deprived. Tell you what, the leader and the boss at work who validates and shows gratitude and appreciates his or her employees will create such loyalty. People want to be appreciated even more than the importance of money. They want to be appreciated and feel valued in what they're doing for a living. And acknowledging feelings like, oh, I got it, you were really upset when I did blah, blah. Please tell me more. It's hard to do. It takes practice. It doesn't sound weird when you start getting good at it. I know it sounds weird sometimes when I say it. It actually starts to work, and you start to get in your own rhythm and your own voice of how that should sound. Well, what do you do if you got a yeller? I get that a lot. Someone's yelling at me or they're really angry. And I want to give you a boundary setting tip when that's going on, because here is the thing. Nothing's going to happen constructively good when someone's yelling at you or they're deeply, deeply angry and upset. They're not going to meet your needs. The only thing you can do is validate their upset to let them blow off steam if you're willing to do that. And some of the things that I've practiced, because I've had people in my life that have been angry at me or have yelled at me, I say things like, wait, whoa. I am no longer willing to be yelled at. I love you, and I'm happy to have a conversation to explain my thinking. And when I'm come at with a lot of this kind of anger, the result is I disengaged. Yeah, I disengage, and I know it's just the opposite of what you want. So let's just take a breath right now and come back to this, say, in a half an hour. Would that work? It actually soothes and calms down the other person I'm engaged with in the moment. And it causes powerful results. It takes practice, you guys. It's not a one-time thing. It's not what is that, the songs, one-hit wonder. It's not a one-hit wonder. It takes practice, it takes consciousness. It takes a commitment to be happy and close. Because these are the keys to the kingdom, to being close to the people that you love. These are the keys to the kingdom. And I really believe that. And one thing I also know is that well-established relationships can weather the occasional conflict just fine. They can. They can. What are you thinking of all this? This was tonight. Good topic? Yeah, whole different game with different language or culture. And one of the things you can say, Sandra, a lot is, I want to be so respectful of your culture. Is it appropriate to say it this way? It's that same. I want to be so appropriate. I want to so honor your background. And so I'd love to learn, and correct me if I've made a mistake. I have done that in the black community. I have done that in the gay community. And my son, who is gay, I say to him a lot, well, not a lot, but I've said to him many times, correct me if I'm saying something off or it feels funky, because I work a lot in diversity. And he has corrected me many times with preciousness, with actual preciousness, because my heart is in the right place. And people can feel when your heart's in the right place for the most part, yeah? Yeah. Oh, thank you, you guys. You guys are so sweet. Perfect. I'm so glad it's helpful. Oh, got it. Daughter-in-law that just won't talk, Sylvia. You know what? You could actually play with her a little bit, and because sometimes our hardwiring is we don't talk a whole lot. And one of the things we would do with the kids and with kids' friends that came over that weren't talking a lot. It was we play the game of, tell me something I'd never know about you if you didn't tell me. And probably the biggest thing with someone who's very introverted, I'm going to assume that's introverted, not anger about past mistakes or whatever. I'm going to assume that it's introverted, is to breathe a lot by this person and give them space. And sometimes when we're around somebody who's really introverted, we fill up the space with a bunch of talking. And the introvert person can never rest because the space is always full. The space gets full. And just rest in the moment. And it can even be, hey, you know, I just watched, I love to talk about TV shows because I'm a huge production fanatic. And it might be, you know, I just finished watching Major Crimes, which I love, by the way. Mary McConnell is like my favorite actress. I love that woman. She was in Battlestar Galactica. She's just a brilliant powerhouse of a woman. And I just love her. And I just finished it. And I'm kind of sad that those guys are gone. What about you? Are there any TV shows that you get excited about? And then be quiet. She might say, oh, I love Suits. I really like the show Suits. And I'd be quiet, even if I sat for 10 seconds. This is for an introverted person. Then I might say, what do you really like about Suits? Then be quiet. Give it some space. I hope that helps. Totally understand introverted. Totally get that, Sandra. Wonderful, I'm assuming. Thank you, Donna. Your special gift is so cool. I actually have a PhD, too, so I worked really hard to learn this stuff. I appreciate you saying the gift. And beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Anything else you guys want to say before I close? Getting ready to close. Just so you know, I love life too much, so God got me. Thank you. Mother hating she had her kids. Maria, then accepting the apology you'll never receive is perfect for you. Because tomorrow, sometimes I'll go live extra during the week. I'm going to be at Wash tomorrow. I love progressive companies that hire me to come in and do conversations on gossip, difficult conversations, thought leadership, forgiveness in the workplace. And one of the activities I'm going to do tomorrow, it's going to be tomorrow during the day. It's going to be live. So I'll be live at an event on the stage and actually broadcasting around the world because a lot of their employees are in different countries. And we'll be doing Accepting the Apology You'll Never Receive. And it's going to happen about 1:45-ish Eastern. I go on the stage at 1 o'clock and I'll be doing some training and some speaking. And then about 1:45 I'm going to come live on Facebook and do that activity with you guys live on Facebook. It is my favorite activity. And it's one that I'm personally getting good at. I'm by no stretch masterful at it. And it's something I want to be masterful at. And it's this ability to shift my way of being. If I'm annoyed or hurt, I can shift myself when I actually pretend somebody's apologizing to me that would never apologize, or they're not going to do it in that moment. And it's a really cool technique and tool. It's one of our most significant tools that we do at Project Forgive. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. And if you're working and you can't see it, you can always see the replay. Okay, I'll make sure I post it and you can see it in the videos. All right, so tomorrow, Accept the Apology You'll Never Receive. I'll be doing that live. Also, if your company hires speakers and you want them to bring me in, I'll put a contact information for your companies to bring me in. I'm always looking for progressive companies that care about these conversations on communication, that care about conversations of thought leadership in the workplace and respect in the workplace and engagement and letting go of some of that junk that holds us down in our productivity. I also want to give a shout out to the Pittsburgh Foundation for sponsoring us in our first curriculum that's getting ready to launch. And if you do find this broadcast helpful, please share it. It deeply supports us with our sponsors because the more people we reach, the more excited large companies get with us because they know we're reaching large volumes of people and they support us financially as a nonprofit. So if I don't see you tomorrow, I will see you next Monday, and I'll put a couple of links here as I say goodnight to you tonight, okay? All right. Okay, angels, I will see you next time, okay?